Everyone, we appreciate you joining us today. We are DOF Creations, joined by HPE for our Juniper Mist AI event. Of course, everybody is, I think, familiar with the Juniper Mist platform, some of the different success stories that maybe they've either experienced themselves as former Juniper customers or from other Juniper customers. I know I've always heard great things about the Mist platform, but now with the Juniper merger with HP Aruba, and bringing these two networking worlds together, we're discussing today some of the amazing things that that partnership or that marriage is going to be bringing to customers going forward. So I have myself, Saeed Gordon, with the DOF team on today, and I also have my co-host or co-presenter joining me as well. I want to allow him to introduce himself briefly, and then I'll just have a few things to highlight as far as how DOF and HP have partnered and some of the things we're doing to help our customers. But I'll pass it to you momentarily, sir.
All right. Yeah, Keith McKinnon. I've been with Juniper for 4 years, and then part of the acquisition of HPE. It's been an amazing time. I am an engineer, turned sales. I'll try not to keep it too technical, but I can go as technical as anybody needs to. And with that, I look forward to presenting to y'all.
Absolutely. So again, Saeed with the DOF team. We're a big Aruba, HPE partner, been a HPE or a big partner since the Aruba days. We're excited to see what this Juniper merger is going to bring to us as far as what it allows us to offer our customers. But some of the things that HPE is keeping, some of the things that aren't changing, are some of the ways that they've allowed us or supported us in regard to building out some of our financing solutions for customers, both interest included as well as zero interest options. As we look at the public sector and some of the challenges that public sector is facing from a budget perspective, these types of options are going to be very, very valuable going forward. These solutions allow customers to defer their costs. Obviously, we look at networking and updating your network as generally a CapEx project, usually a big upfront cost, all paid in 1 year, and you hope that you can stretch out the life of that hardware over the course of 5 years or 7 years, maybe even pushing it a little longer if your budget requires that. The goal of some of our financing options is to make that process a little bit more manageable for your budget rather than coming out of pocket for $1 million or $5 million or $10 million in 1 year. Let's find a way to break that up for you so that way you're not forced to forego another critical project in this year because you have to do so much right now for networking in this year. Let's allow you to spread that out and give you flexibility over the course of a 3 year, 4 year, 5 year period to continue to be able to do all the things you need to do and also support that critical project, which is managing your network, supporting your network, and especially when we're looking at schools, cities, counties, the diverse array of needs that your network has to support there, making sure that you continue to do that and take advantage of some of the cutting edge and more modern solutions that are helping you to do that. For us as well, as I mentioned, we're HP partners. We have quite a few members of our team that have been with HPE or supporting HP products from before when it was just Aruba, supported Juniper through those different evolutions of that technology as well. So we have really knowledgeable team members here that have been with the Aruba and on the Juniper side, understand those technologies, how they work well together, and also the different technologies that they work well with as well. Something else that we want to make sure we highlight as I started with the financing discussion is grant support. So we have some grants that have gone live, such as the BRIC grant, which covers physical infrastructure and technology or digital resiliency evaluations. There's also the COPS grant, which supports local education as well as local law enforcement. The HP team has probably the best, if not has one of the best, if not the best, grant support teams out there in the country. They're a phenomenal resource. We do quite a bit with grants. We support our customers and connecting them to the right people if it's a grant writer, a post-award manager. But the Aruba team also does a phenomenal job providing resources at no additional cost to their customers as well. Supporting a variety of needs. We've seen customers leverage those resources for licensing subscriptions, for hardware, being able to make projects that seemed out of reach for many customers much more attainable for them. And that's the value of being able to use some of these different models for facilitating procurement. And our goal as DOF is to do what we can to help our customers get to that end of the road. Wherever that is for you, whatever that means for you, it's our job to help you to get there. Some of the promos that we see from the HP Juniper team, HP has been really, really aggressive this year with new discounting options. We've seen that in contrast to some of the stuff that's been happening across the IT space. I'm sure a lot of folks have seen different manufacturers raise prices, cut down the price. I guess the price confirmation period where you're able to hold on to a price for a particular period of time just created a lot of hardship for a lot of customers. HP's response to that has been some of these different discounting options that we see here as well. And of course, with HP, this is a new offering as it relates to their firewalls through the Juniper line. So we encourage all of our customers to pursue these, all of our customers to kick the tires on these. If you're looking for a product demo, if you're looking for a trial on some of these different products and platforms, please contact us. Please let us know what you would like to learn more about, and we'll do our best to make sure that you have the opportunity to see what's out there for you and how some of these different promos could be valuable to you. Of course, 65% off on switch bundles, 75% off on access points, 69, almost 70% off on access point bundles, alternate access point bundles as well. Of course, 75 on the Mist side, 70 off on the HPE side, and then 50% off buy one, get one for firewall refresh. So these are phenomenal promos. These are things that we're not seeing from other manufacturers. And if you're concerned about budget as it relates to managing or supporting your network, definitely this is something to kick the tires on. See what you can do with this as a way to create a little bit of flexibility or to be more, I guess you could say, respectful to your budget, as we've seen for some manufacturers just kind of throwing caution to the wind with the price increases that we've seen over the course of the last 6 months this year. Um, this conversation is obviously focused on Mist and that really innovative platform, the way that Mist has evolved over time and what that means to our customers today. We're seeing more and more customers trying to leverage or at least determine what AI can do for them. So as we go through our conversation today, we definitely want to make sure that we're paying attention to AI as a value add from a detection perspective, utilizing that as a way to address issues before you're seeing a ticket come in, as a way to identify and evaluate network gaps or performance issues, particularly as we look at different challenges that could create network vulnerability, as cybersecurity is always a top concern, but also as we know that bad actors are leveraging AI more and more to either find vulnerabilities or take advantage of those that may be out there. Also, as a way to manage or reduce cost, being able to consolidate some of the work that you're doing, some of the platforms that you're doing into a unified solution that is leveraging AI and being able to do more with less is an incredibly important value add as we're looking at, again, managing or maintaining the budgets that we're dealing with day to day. And then being able to support device health. Again, another way to look at the value of AI from a troubleshooting perspective. So these are things that I want everybody to keep an eye out for or keep their ears open for as we're having our discussion today. How do some of these different things from a Mist perspective address or fall into some of these different categories and buckets? And with that, Keith, I'll pass it over to you. But we will make sure that if there are any questions that come up from today's presentation, if there are any additional materials that are needed, if somebody wants to learn more, please feel free to contact us. We will make sure that is available for you.
All right. Can everybody see my screen? There we go. All right. Um, okay. So again, Keith McKinnon, I've been in the industry for quite a while, was a wireless engineer. Took a 7-year sabbatical, went into monitoring, visibility, and cybersecurity meets Wi-Fi, and then I stumbled back on Mist. And I was so impressed when I did. I just happened to know the East Coast vice president of sales, and I called him up immediately. I said, please tell me you have an availability, an opening, anything. He says, I don't, but give me 4 weeks and I'll create a position for you. 4.5 weeks later, I was working here and I will never leave. They will have to, I'll be in the basement with a stapler. They're not getting rid of me. It's that compelling. And this is why I'm here, right? We have a focus on client experience that is second to none. Literally, this quote sums it up, right? You can't look at the competition and say you're going to do it better, even though I think we are. You have to do it different, right? And by different with us, we're monitoring just on the wireless side alone 150 different data points of every single wireless connection. And when you put that into perspective with a Walmart with hundreds of thousands of access points, upwards of 400,000 access points, over 3 million clients on any given day. And I can find one client who's struggling or having a bad day, and it could be an IoT device. It could be a scanner. It doesn't matter what it is, but I can bubble that problem up. And not only have I bubbled that problem up, but I've also handed the customer or literally a filtered packet capture of the problem at the time that it occurred and on the right AP. So the smoking gun evidence of the issue that arose. Um, so hey, when we were acquired by HP, nobody knew what was going to happen. You know, they couldn't tell you, they couldn't talk about it. And when this was the first slide that actually said, "Oh my gosh, it's not one's going to replace the other." It's like, hey, if you're an Aruba customer, and stay with Aruba. If you're a Mist
Mhm.
customer, stay with Mist. All new customers should probably start with Mist because it's the easy button. And then on-premises customers, of course, there's not a solution for the Mist yet, but you know that would be an Aruba solution. So we're maintaining both solutions, which would seem difficult, but it's not. We're both a microservices architecture built platform. One might be Kubernetes, one might be Docker, but it's all about the application. So we've already seen the switching and the back and forth, and they just announced a couple things today. They haven't formally announced them. They'll be announcing them next week in Las Vegas. So I really can't talk about them too much, but you're going to start seeing some Aruba things in Mist and some more Mist things in Aruba. And if you ping me the week after next, I'll be able to tell you all these really cool things, but extremely excited about being able to pull those apps over because 90% of the it's just like iOS and Android, right? 90% of the work was creating the app, 10% of it's fitting it to the actual platform, and that's what we're doing. Um, so this is the Mist executive staff, right? These guys worked together since 2004, all at Cisco. They all joined Mist eventually. Bob Friday was actually the creator and the founder of um, the Cisco controller, right? And Bob saw an episode of Jeopardy where IBM Watson, which was IBM's first take at AI, beat Ken Jennings and Brad Rutter, two Jeopardy champions. And when he saw that live, he said, if they can do that, if they can build AI to compete on par with and beat two humans, I can certainly use AI to ingest the plethora of network traffic out there and apply AI
Mhm.
and machine learning to that and literally hand the problem to the customer and say, here's the your IT person, here's your problem right here. And now even fix the problem. And I'll show you that's it's not what you're thinking. So hey, we've had a wild ride on the Magic Quadrant since 2019 or 2020 actually, and as I predicted last year, this is where we would be this year, and that's exactly where we are. So Bob had two visions basically when he started the company. At first, it was the wireless. Like, you have two types of wireless problems. You have I can't connect and your Wi-Fi sucks. Those are basically the two problems that you have. He nailed the problem with the Wi-Fi, but he needed a network, which is why Juniper and Mist got together. So now at this point, we've got client to cloud visibility. I can tell you where your Zoom call failed along this path or where your Teams call. We ingest your company's Teams and Zoom traffic into our network to tell you where this failed, and I can show you. His second vision was this self-driving network, and this is what the title was all about. We're there. We are literally there, right? It's the same
Mhm.
thing with the car. You had insights. You had, hey, recommendations, adaptive cruise control, and this process that is, was born back in 2014 and gone all the way up to this stage. So we are currently um, in that self-driving network area, and if you're afraid of self-driving and AI, um, you're much safer in a Waymo than you are in any other vehicle. And airplanes, whether you know it or like it or not, the pilot cannot touch the controls in low visibility scenarios like this. So only if it's an emergency. So AI has been a part of your life for quite a long time. These are some of the features that we can currently automate, and this list is going to grow exponentially. Literally, some of our APs have two ports, so we don't want to be the one to take your network down. We're going to detect a loop. We're going to shut that port off if you allow us. These are all trust things. Insufficient capacity. We're automatically going to take your radios and roll them to meet the specified capacity that you set up, which I'll show you in a second. So, hey, you don't have that very many 2.4, or you don't have any 2.4, you would probably be better off having two 5 gigahertz radios. Let's dynamically roll that 2.4 gigahertz over to a 5 gigahertz or eventually 6 gigahertz to accommodate the capacity that you want. Port stuck. Think about the scenarios in schools or anywhere where, hey, there's something happened in this area. Let's go check the footage of the camera, only to find out that the port's been stuck for 4 days, however long. You don't have any footage on it. Whoops. If we detect a stuck port, which is simple, right? Lots of transmit traffic, zero receive traffic, stuck port. IoT devices are notorious for this. Bounce that port. We'll bounce that port 3 times before alerting it to you. So it's a simple thing that takes seconds and can bring back IoT devices or cameras, and then misconfigured stuff. So I always ask people why the massive shift from norm. Why do these customers on the right adopt us so willingly and easily? And you can add McDonald's to that. You can add Lowe's and Home Depot and all that, those customers to this list as well. Not that any of my customers are this large, but it was that client level visibility, right? Being able to see the amount of data that they can see, and I'll show you that here in a few minutes. The fact that when we literally get deployed, your trouble tickets, ServiceNow experienced a 98% reduction in trouble tickets. They went from 100 user open trouble tickets per month on their existing system to two. And that is, I mean, significant. They even give away, if you use ServiceNow and miss, they give away the integration piece that they put together so far. And this, again, microservices architecture, we have ripped apart that monolithic blob of code, given every feature and function its own processing bubble, which does two things. One, hey, it saves money, and it's a little greener because at roaming, 3 million people, there's not that much roaming at Walmart at night. So hey, that feature, the functionality, the processing power shrinks, right? But that's the primary thing is that we can release new features and functionality literally every 3 to 4 weeks, right? When I was a
Mhm.
software test engineer, I would get handed, new code, and I'd say, what did you touch? Because if you touched anything in this feature, that's 14 weeks of regression testing right there, and that's not agile at
Mhm.
all. Literally, you make a change in roaming here, you apply that change, and you're done. And you don't have to upgrade firmware, because that's the scary thing for some people. You don't have to update firmware on your AP. This is like Netflix. You don't have to upgrade your Roku TV every time they come out with a new background or new recommendations for movies and stuff like that for you. So makes us way more agile. And then we do a lot of digital engagement, virtual BLE stuff. We can do wayfinding like we do at the VA Medical Center. Um, and then everything is 100% API driven architecture, and I've dove headfirst into this. It's amazing what you can do with N8N and the APIs on this, but probably the only ones that do open 100% of the API. And then, hey, no
Keith,
virtual. I'm sorry. Yes.
Keith, could you go back a moment?
Yeah, sure.
Um, those integrations, what do those third-party integrations provide? I'm assuming ServiceNow allows for ticketing if there's an issue that maybe Mist is not able to address, or if there's something that requires a physical
It,
touch.
it will
But
automatically create a ticket for you. Like
okay,
if
cool.
there's a problem, and they have some apps as well that they use. So
Okay.
and they're happy to give that integration away right on their website to uh, to people that own Mist and ServiceNow.
Could you go through
Um,
what Zoom, Zebra, these different integrations, what does that provide to the customer that has that? I'm sure not
so
everyone has everything, but
so Zebra has a client that'll that or we have a client that we put on in integrated into Zebra. So if somebody's
mhm,
using the scanner or the phone portion of that scanner, we'll let you know what happened, give you additional details on that particular scanner of why the problem happened, right?
okay.
So in some aspects, Zebra, has a competitive program, but the reason we became a partner with Zebra, we were at Amazon. They had just put us in, and we literally said, "Hey, we just got a packet capture of this problem that on a Zebra scanner." Uh, and they said, "Hold on, man, this is something we've been trying to find for a year, and couldn't find it. It was so random." And we were able
Mhm.
to call it Zebra and say, "Hey, look what we found." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're best friends now." The Zoom and Teams integration is you set up through your Zoom admin the ability for us to ingest Zoom and Teams traffic, and we're going to tell you where the problem is, and I'll show you that here very agentically in a few seconds. Um, so Marvis, right? No VNA would be complete without a mascot, and yes, Marvis is a direct ripoff from Jarvis from Iron Man. Bob Friday is very proud of that, so he must have gotten legal okay to do so. But hey, Marvis is never wrong, and I like a mascot or a virtual network assistant that's never wrong. And he's doing something that no other engineer can do, and that's stay awake 24 hours a day, making sure nothing goes wrong on your network, and even proactively. Um, Having babies, Marvis Minis. Um, Literally, this is kind of a Cape Network sensor or a whatever equivalent, but this is built into the system, so it's not an overlay network. Every single access point switch port will have an instance of Marvis Minis on it, and all they're doing is they're saying, "Hey, at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're a client. We want to, get a DHCP address or resolve DNS and go out to a um, handful of URLs that applications that we put in there if you don't have any specific ones, but more importantly, and the only manual process to this whole thing is you can change the URLs to be your business critical, your school critical, your city critical applications, payroll, statewide testing.com, those types of things. And you can put those in there once an hour. We'll test them. And it's not like every AP comes up and tests it all. It's like, this one will come up, this one will come up. And if it finds a problem, then it will replicate itself and become, trying to determine the blast radius. Hey, is it just this switch or is it multiple switches? Is it the ISP? And speaking of the ISP, we've now taken Marvis Minis global through the largest content delivery network. So every single data center is going to have an instance. So not only are you going to be able to baseline, your last mile between you and the ISP, but you're also going to be able to tell that, hey, this application is not responding, or hey, there's latency or packet drops between point two and three here,
Mhm.
hops two and three. I can't help that, but at least I know it's not me, and my boss knows it's not me because Marvis is telling you that it's between here and here. So extremely amazing stuff.
Does this
Um,
tie into the I think it was the virtual BLE? Do the Marvis Minis support the I
it
guess
doesn't tie
the
into the
heat mapping?
BLE. This is no, that's a different animal altogether.
Okay.
This is just being proactive, right? It's a
Okay.
trace route. Literally just giving you a trace route, but tracking it using anomaly detection machine learning to say, hey, guess what? Last minute everything was fine. This minute we've got issues at this point here. So you,
Mm-hmm.
you it should be like 5, 10 different URLs that you should be able to put into this. And this stuff is real. Like there is a reference, happy reference in every single vertical that we have. In the 4 years that I've been here, I've never met an unhappy Juniper customer from a missed perspective. Not one, right? So that's something that an engineer turned sales truly appreciates is we can find a reference for you anywhere, any vertical. So let me take you to the interface. And so this is the cool thing, right? So every 3 to 4 weeks, um, you get this pop up, and it's like, okay, what did they do now? I have this literally came up today, so I haven't been able to read through it, um, and I had to cancel out, so I took a screen capture of it. But this is the speed of innovation that we're making. It's breakneck speeds, things changing all the time. And you don't have to live in the dashboard, but it was funny one time about 2 months ago, I was reaching out to a customer, had a lot of old gear. And I said, hey, you got old gear, but it still works on Mist. So you want to see what's new in the dashboard. And he literally said, yeah, hold on a second. I have to find my password. I have not logged in for 2 years. And I thought that's amazing. But anyways, so here's your network dashboard basically, right? This is for the wireless component. This is for the wired component. We do things, similarly, but there's, a primary, and then a secondary. So on the Wi-Fi side, so I can see, how many users I have on at a time. I can see time to connect. These are the 150 different data points that we're monitoring every minute for every client, parsed out into these 7 different categories that make up those two trouble tickets. I can't connect and the
Mm-hmm.
Wi-Fi sucks. So successful connections, 92%. That's not bad, right? And if you have multiple sites, by the way, it would look something, like this. You'd be able to see the multiple locations, single template on the switches, but you'd be able to see all the multiple locations and see that, hey, live demo's got some problems. I click into
Mm-hmm.
live demo, and now I say, hey, successful connections, 8%. Even though I got a 92, 8% are still on the struggle bus. And
Mm-hmm.
we literally can, dive into those, there. Obviously, authorization seems to be making up, 97% of that 8%. But man, we're all about that needle in a haystack. And I can show you in 2 clicks the single client who's having a DNS issue, and I can click on that client and I can all right off the bat. Marva says client specific. This issue is client specific. Do not even look at the network. This is a device issue. You've just cut your troubleshooting time in half, right? I don't have to worry about that. Going back to authorization, and here. So authorization, I can see this guy is failing 100% of the time, and the overall impact of the score is 72%. So this guy's really having a problem. I don't know what client that is, so I'm not going to mess with him because this is a live demo environment and a live environment. But I can see that, hey, it could be 100% and only be zero point 0.3, right? Which means somebody just fat fingered a password or accidentally joined the wrong SSID or something like that. Everest is my favorite guy because he gets on, he gets kicked off, he does all kinds of silly things, and I'm going to take it out to 7 days. And literally, Everest, right off the bat, again, hey, this is client specific, successful connections, client specific. Don't even look at the network, but I want to go look deeper into Everest. So now I can see that I'm looking at Everest and I go to view insights. Now, there's a lot of data, and I know what everybody thinks when they see a lot of data. One, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do all that data. Or
Mm-hmm.
two, oh, this has got to be expensive, right? It's not. We're not more expensive than any other solution, bar a couple of handfuls of home brewed devices. But so if Everest hadn't gotten kicked off the network, there would be a map here showing his exact location. He'll join back again, but he got the authentication. But I'm literally looking at 59,706 events that have happened to this client over the past 7 days. And every time you see a paper clip, that means I have handed you a dynamic packet capture of that problem. And
Mm,
literally, I hit download, it downloads that and pops up, and hopefully Wireshark, there we go. Wireshark pops up and shows you the whopping 103 packets. That's it. It has filtered it out for you. You didn't have to travel to the farthest location away from you, 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, and take somebody out of their work day to try to recreate the problem, or remember
mm,
to put Wireshark in promiscuous mode, right? And then have to go through the thousands of packets that you captured on Tuesday morning after a 3-day weekend, and somebody had a problem Friday, called you Tuesday morning and said, "Hey, I got this problem." There's the smoking gun evidence of the problem, and that's it. So, and then that's just part of it. We're showing you what applications we're running. Meeting insights. This is where you're going to see your teams and Zoom data, which I'll show you. Um, Pre-connection, post-connection, DHCP latency, like all this amazing data and roaming history for the past 7 days of a client. And there's a great table to help out with that. But yes, lots of data. Don't always need lots of data, but it really comes in handy when you do. So
Heath, one
um,
question for you here.
absolutely.
Or I guess I have two questions, but my first question is, as it relates to the Teams data, what have you seen customers using this type of deep insights or analytics on Teams and Zoom? What are they doing with that? What are the situations where that is valuable to them?
Um, and I'll get to that, right? So
Okay.
that's a great visual and a good kind of teaser for what I'm going to show you here on
Okay.
Teams. Yeah, jaw drop moment guaranteed, because my jaw dropped when I saw it. And it is really cool to be part of this, because every Tuesday new things pop up. And if you're not paying attention to those things, you're going to go demo something. You're going to find something brand new and you go, "Oh, wow, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's there. I'll get back to you."
So
Um,
it's
but that
getting more
was
value without needing to spend more money for it, which is usually
exactly,
how it works in our space. You're
yes.
always anytime you want something new, you got to spend more money, put it in the next budget for the next year, and
Exactly. And this is just, it
yeah.
just comes up, it just pops up, and then you have it, right? So that was kind of like a dinner. This is dessert. That was more of like a proactive troubleshooting thing, right? Here is here is like more proactive, right? This is the Marvis Actions tab, the Marvis Octopus, the Morning Cup of Coffee view, whatever. You come in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and see that guy, 220 things wrong on my network. I'm buffing up my resume and walking out the door because I evidently had something's on fire. But it's because we're now ingesting data center traffic. So Apstra,
Okay.
which is a data center orchestration tool, we're now bringing that into the fold and showing you that you've got BGP mismatches and bad cables and all that sort of stuff. So that's a whole separate thing if you wanted to see it, but that's coming and allowing us to do more and more. Security is also coming, so stand by. That's going to be a great one. But this is, left to right. I got it. I got a bad cable, um, or a bad fiber optic. Um, and oh, by the way, it's on port 19 of this Cisco switch, or it's on port 1 of this Juniper switch. If it's a Juniper switch
Mm.
and a Juniper access point, and it's soon to be an Aruba switch, we'll be able to do a TDM test and tell you what pin pair is bad and which one to pay attention to when you're recrimping that cable or replacing that cable. Connectivity. We're all about anomalous behavior. We know your network. Marvis knows your network and how it performs. And I know that for the past 7 days, here's what your DHCP failures look like. They're natural, it happens, but here's a nasty spike. We're going to tell you what server is related to that DHCP problem. What server might be, but probably not as likely, and it's definitely not the AP, because the higher up and the bigger the bubble, the more likely the problem is. from a wireless perspective, health check failed. We'll rat ourselves out. We failed. We're sorry. AP could be working just fine, but there's some leak in there, or maybe even the monitor radio is not working and no one's complaining. You'll get an email saying, if your information is correct in our CRM, you'll get an email saying, hey, um, uh, bad AP, we're shipping out a new one. It's in the box with an RMA label. And that's it. No questions asked. Don't have to go tune it up, turn it off, turn it on, reset anything. Just we failed. We're sorry. Um, Insufficient coverage and capacity. Great for dynamic environments, especially schools. But hey, I specified that I want this much capacity at this location, and you're not getting it. So we're going to show you on a map that, hey, this is the AP that's saying you don't have enough capacity for what you
Mhm.
want to do in this area. So you either add another AP or go figure out that, hey, there's a bunch of people hanging out here, and now we got 90 people sharing this access point, all at the same time.
Mm.
So let's see, AP loop detected, uh, dynamic capacity optimization. These are all those self-driving things. If you trust us, we'll go ahead and dynamically optimize the radios for your environment to give you the best capacity, best capacity that we possibly can. DFS optimization. This is a new one too. They just rolled out. You're close to an airport. All these DFS channels keep dropping out. Um, but you don't want to block them all, right? Because maybe it's just a handful of them. This will say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and let you know which channel is blocked and dropped the most or made to switch channels the most. And we're just going to not even allow this as part of the optimization process anymore. So we're not going to choose channel 116 any
Mhm.
longer. Um, so that's cool. On the wired side, Rogue DHCP server, that's pretty cool because somebody plugs in a Rogue device, and I've seen it lots of times. It's going to shut that port down. So missing VLANs. So access points are super smart. They know which VLANs they're supposed to have. If they don't have that VLAN available to you or on there, they're going to rat each other out. They're going to rat you out and say, hey, look, we don't have that VLAN, or hey, even better yet, no Ethernet link or no IP address. The first time I saw this, I'm like, what do you mean no Ethernet link? And it literally, the APs and the switches will go out over a Bluetooth connection, a secure Bluetooth connection to connect to a neighboring AP or even a switch with an SOS and say, hey, somebody please tell the mothership that I don't have DHCP or I don't have an Ethernet link or I don't have IP address. It's amazing. And there's a blinky light pattern thing. If it blinks twice, no Ethernet link. If it blinks three times, no IP address, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So very smart and intuitive access points. My favorite was high CPU because I used to test the internet on everybody's equipment, and man, the high CPU was a killer to try to figure out. But hey, this is just this process consuming higher cycles due to a non-certified optic. You've got a squirrely optic on the machine, and that's where the problem is. Now, let's talk about AI. I mean, this is all AI running in the background. This is your conversational assistant, and there's two versions, and they'll keep two versions for a while because hey, I just want you to show switches at live demo, and I hit go. And it's going to give me a list of all the switches. Hey, there you go, inventory. But you know what? I don't care about all of them. So I'm just going to up arrow like I would in a switch interface and say show only bad switches at live demo. And now it's going to give you a list of anybody that's had a hiccup over the past 7 days on a switch.
Mm.
So I click on this particular switch, and this is going to go out and say here, oh, port flapping issue. Okay, let's look at that. Oh, port 17. Now, the same way I took you to the nitty-gritty detail of the client, here is the nitty-gritty detail of the switch. So now I'm going to see any second now. Um, I'm going to see the switch. I'm going to find Rogue DC. Well, yeah, there you go. Rogue DHCP server. That's why the port's down. Um, Table capacity, a BGP summary, neighboring information, switching charts. What kind of data is on a switch? The power draw. being used, everything that's on that port at that particular time. And I can do the same thing for an access point, right? So you get that same detail, including the ability to show every single event that happened on that access point. And yes, we do packet captures as well on the ports at port level for certain things, currently. And it's a little more than 100 packets for sure, but it's a lot quicker than what that AP and that client are doing. Um, some of
So
the,
what is the
sorry,
for
yeah.
the customer, what is the difference between what they're getting out of the box and then, maybe what they have to configure? Are they getting everything out of the box, or is this through, years and years of iteration on your home network that you've been able to build this type of granularity and deep insights?
So this is, you get everything out of the box, right? Well, Marvis is an additional subscription, but that's, I mean, in my eyes, it pays for itself times 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just this alone, like show unhappy users past 7 days. I mean, this information is priceless because nobody's complaining. Everything looks great. But yet I still have a couple of clients, I hope, yeah, that have a problem. There's that one I didn't know what it was, and there's Everest. So I click on Everest and think about your help desk team now, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I got a problem, and here's an authorization error. Also, Everest just happened to be on an access point that had a health issue, but the AP is currently online now, and you can go
Mm-hmm.
down and look, and it'll show you the AP, and I can click on the AP Insights and go see that, right? So this is
Mm-hmm.
cutting down your time. It's not replacing you. This is cutting down on the time that you're spending doing the troubleshooting stuff that you do 50% of the day, as opposed to what, the real work that they want you to do. But here's Everest, he's got an authorization error. And then it's going to give you a little bit of history and then say, boom, here's the problem. Oh,
Yeah.
update your password, right? So Everest is just a client that's been scripted to get on, get off, use the wrong password, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what you're getting with Marvis, kind of out of the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's this is more like it's a generative AI. I want to know information about my network, and it's handing it to me. This
Mm-hmm.
is the next step, which is this is because when you first call up Marvis, you have two options, right? You have here's the new one beta. It's insane, and then you have the classic view. So I could just come in here and say troubleshoot client Everest, and it would figure out what was wrong with it. Here, I just happened to go troubleshoot client MAC address, Teams calls past 7 days. And it goes out and it says, okay, I found 5 Teams calls. 1 out of 5 singers experienced a problem. Here's the evidence. Here's the likely root causes. And then, oh, by the way, here's the 5 calls. I click on the first call and it says, hey, troubleshoot this call at this time from here to here. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm going to go troubleshoot that, right? And it's basically saying there's no problem and we don't have an issue. And oh, by the way, here's the path that it took through the network. Now I clicked on this one, right? And it takes a second, right? It's not fast, and I didn't realize how much time we had, so I just did it ahead of time. Um, but here's the bad one. Troubleshoot this time and this, call, and now it's going to go through and tell me that he's got poor roaming behavior. He's a sticky client, et cetera, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera. And now here's the path that it took. He bounced to this AP. It was a bad bounce, sticky, and that gave the problem to the client. And it'll also let you know if the client said, clicked on the, hey, this call was horrible type thing. So this is the agentic piece. It's literally, if you want to see it in action, it's it's um it's basically, I'll pick a call I haven't done. It's going to go out and troubleshoot. It's invoking an agent to say, hey, I've user's got a problem. Well, what do I do? Okay, well, I need to go check DHCP. I need to go check this. I need to go check this. So it's invoking these other agents to go do the work for us, and the orchestrator agent is actually, pulling all this together, and he'll be the one that it will be the one that shows up or presents the data to you. So, and there you go. So it's not that long, but I didn't know how much time we have and how much I would. I had a lot of Red Bull this morning, so
I think
You
that's
got
all
the
right.
short
So
answer there. And then
we got
let me
about
show,
15 minutes left
yeah, let me show you one
for
more thing though.
Q&A.
Hold on.
So
This is
yeah.
so next level, right? So why not create an MCP with all those APIs, right?
Hmm.
MCP, and so I uh, I have integrated my uh, Claude desktop into my network,
Oh,
and I can
okay.
get any single. And again, this requires the Marvis subscription, but I can troubleshoot it any way I want and say, you know what, give me a graph, give me a pie chart, give me a cloud, make it creative, whatever. But I can find out this data, and it'll literally tell me every single thing wrong on my network. Now, there's got to be somebody out there going, I'm not putting cloud on my network, right? There are other ways. So what I'm doing right now is I'm in Amazon Bedrock, which is much more safer, right? You have to have an
Mhm.
IAM, for authentication and everything. So it's much safer. And now and you're using an instance of Claude that's already been used and it's isolating that instance for you. So now I drop in Opus 4.5 into my Bedrock environment, and now I can ask the same thing. So it's a much safer. It's me to Amazon and Amazon authenticating to my device, and that's it. Not my home network, which is on Juniper access points, but this is next level stuff that is just and at one time it said, "Hey, do you want me to fix this problem for you?" I'm like, No, not yet, not yet, Claude."
Mhm.
But thanks for the offer. So very cool, very next level stuff. The uh, I guess that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I mean, the switches are super simple, intuitive. Everybody I've ever presented this to, if they didn't have a jaw drop moment at the time of the demo when they got it and they saw how simple it was installing access points, you configure these things. It's zero touch provisioning. You configure them while they're in transit. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and create my whole network. I'm going to create a template, single template for switches, a single template for APs, and now I get a single activation code. I plop that activation code in, and I say, here's my activation code, and it just literally fills my inventory. Now I don't have to do any pre-configuration whatsoever. I have an app. That app on my phone, I can scan a URL code on the back of the access point. It will bring up the access point. You give it a location, give it a name, plop it down. 47 and a half seconds later, you are beaconing and go ready to go. And there might, depending upon how long Disty had the AP or whatever, there might be some code upgrades or something that happen real quick, but it takes 15 seconds after an FTP download of the code to go ahead and reboot that AP. 15 seconds to reboot the AP after code release. So very, very cool stuff. And then there's other things that you can do too, like maybe Everest got back on. No, of course not. Um, but anyways, you can see a pictorial, trace route of a particular, device that's on, I don't want that on the network. So back into switches, topology. So there's an iPhone that's attached to this access point, attached to this switch, attached to that core switch in the IDF, and that router or firewall at live demo. And the switches are uh, pretty intuitive as well. If you've got Verkada cameras, that's another one of those integrations where I can go look at the Verkada camera and say, okay, hey, that's cool. I can have a picture of the device, but here's the link right off next to the name that is a direct, you know, uh, login screen for that particular Verkada camera. So um, there you go. You want to log into the device, there it is. Those are one of the integration things that we've done with Verkada. Or I can go and look at the client insights to see how much power it's drawing from my network. Any kind of wired client events. It got kicked off. It had a port down situation on the switch. All the information that you could possibly want to know about that particular device. With that, I mean, if you wanted a longer demo, drawn out, see everything, please reach out, and we're happy to give you that. Um,
Absolutely. And from the DOF perspective, we also have our proof of concepts or free trials that we have as well. We've been leveraging those for some Aruba customers who are not familiar with Juniper, and then some folks who are just not familiar with the HP ecosystem, to get an opportunity to test drive some of those resources, and see what they could do in their environment as well. And Keith, I don't think we remembered each other from this, but there was a college in Alabama before the Aruba and Juniper merger where we were trying to help them figure out a challenge they were having in one of their buildings,
Okay.
from the Aruba side. And you and Juniper went in there and were able to figure out that I think they had too much saturation that was causing the APs to drop
Okay.
throughout the building.
Yeah.
And that was probably my first introduction to Mist as a way not just to manage your network, but to be a troubleshooting agent to help you to solve, some of those challenges because you have folks who are just kind of managing network problems every day.
Yeah.
And,
And that's that part of the POC is, as I always tell people, and thanks for reminding me, but give us your worst wireless scenario. I want that building where everybody
Mhm.
complains all the time. And I know that building. I walked into that building and I surveyed it. I'm like, there's nothing wrong here. But when you try to get on the network, you speed test, if you could get to the speed test server, you got 1 or 2 meg worth of throughput, and the students were angry.
Oh,
Um, Literally,
the teachers too, the professors
we
too.
replaced 33 access points with 30, and it was 400 meg all day long.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was great. And then, yeah, just give us your worst wireless nightmare to put us in, and that's where we'll literally shine.
So Keith, we have one of our first questions, and for anybody that has questions, please include it in the Q&A tab, which is in the sort of the middle of your screen there. But the first question we have is from Cedric. How does this compare to Aruba Central? Are they redundant or complementary?
They are becoming complementary. So you're
Okay.
going to see, and I'm only going to do this on one, because no, you might see something that looks like this very soon in Central. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not I'm not getting fired. So they are complementary. They're becoming more and more complementary. If you want this out of the box, then buy this, right? If you want, the CX switches are going to be, mystified to the nth degree here soon. So if and depending on not 10-year-old switches, the key to this whole thing working was the data, the right data. You had to be able to collect a lot of data. Think about Bob Friday took this idea to Cisco and they said, fine, if you could do it on our Cisco controller, go ahead. And he built it, so he knew he couldn't. If you do it on the Meraki, go ahead. Well, that's a monolithic blob of code that sits in the cloud, and he couldn't get the data that he wanted to get. So he had to build his own access point to collect that data. So it takes an enormous amount of processing power to get that much data because if any AI person can tell you garbage in, garbage out, and that's
Mhm.
it. So,
Let's see. Okay, another question. Oh, Cedric again. So since we have Central and that will be integrated later, do we wait then?
it's your call. If you're up for a refresh, you can go miss or uh just wait. It depends. If you're happy, man, stay with miss. Or stay with central. It's coming.
Gotcha.
If you want
Um,
it now, you gotta go miss.
Keith, do you have a full list of the Juniper partner integrations? I know you had that short list that you showed earlier in the call, but then you also mentioned Verkada as well. Do you have a full list? I don't know how big that list would be.
I'd have to go look because it just got exponentially larger
Okay.
now that because we're Aruba did a great job of focusing on IoT stuff.
Hmm.
In my eyes, Mist was on the way, but we weren't doing it as well as I think that Aruba was. Same with same with application stuff, right? We literally didn't focus on applications. Now I can, come in here and say, okay, here's 14 Teams calls and pick one person's team call and literally go, hey, troubleshoot this Teams call, right? And
Yeah,
and and that's, you know, so it's been smooth, but yeah, that list will be a lot larger soon.
gotcha. Um, from the obviously HP is bringing Juniper and Aruba into this place where, side by side, it's a brother sister type of solution. Um, for some of the other customers, especially when we look at Aruba customers, Aruba or HP hasn't had a firewall before until this Juniper acquisition. What are some of the other technologies that you guys play nice with, either in networking or outside of networking? Especially when we see some of the networking partners that have like cybersecurity integrations with, Splunk or CrowdStrike or whatever it might be.
Yeah, both our NAC, which is a cloud-based microservices architecture NAC, um, is not going anywhere. ClearPass is not going anywhere, right? So,
Mhm.
and our NAC is completely third-party compatible, right? You can use it with anybody that you want to. Same thing with ClearPass. Um, it's SD-WAN, two different versions of SD-WAN, but and there's a new, and that'll be announced as well, new line of firewalls, SRX model coming out that's going to be
Mhm.
a lot more competitive with the Fortinet pricings, and such. So at this point, bringing both companies together, there's nothing stopping us, from anything, the full stack everywhere, right? NAC,
Mhm.
uh, two flavors, three flavors. Wireless, the first wireless access points already GA. It's already shipping.
Mhm.
You plug it in. If it's going to report to the Mist cloud, if it's not a Mist AP or registered, it'll go to the central cloud and it'll download its configuration from central.
Mhm.
So that's already happening. And the switching, I would imagine in my head, this calendar year, the switches will do the same.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Keith, we're coming up on time here.
And
For
one
any,
thing is they're not even at, I'm sorry, one
yeah,
last
go
thing.
ahead.
They're not even in that buying cycle right now. I have customers who have bought like five APs just to be able to take them to a place that's having a problem and figure out the problem from using ours. And then, 2 years later, they're buying. So again, all done. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, no. I appreciate that. That kind of makes me ask another question. You showed in your demo, being able to use one of your APs to see that there was an issue on, say, a Cisco device. I guess what's the split between customers that were maybe all Juniper compared to Juniper mixed, and maybe even using Juniper to help manage other manufacturer network gear? That they came in and they had Cisco Extreme, whatever it might be, and they were kind of working with that Juniper gear or that Mist gear to help to manage some of those other devices too, or for troubleshooting on other devices.
Yeah, we used to have some third-party switches in here. If it supports LLDP, we'll give you some information on it, right?
Hmm.
If it doesn't support LLDP, then you might you'll get an IP address and a MAC address, but you'll get a little bit of information. You're not going to be able to manage it. You're not going to be able to manage a Cisco device. And we, hey, our wireless plays nice with everybody. We're not, particular, but um, 9 times out of 10 they come back and say, okay, we just refresh switches. So we had a couple of years, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, probably, they'll come back and upgrade to the Juniper switches or, HPE switches afterwards because they want the full package. You get so much more rich data and the ability to, troubleshoot, end to end when you have both solutions, right?
Hmm.
All the full stack basically, I guess. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, if everybody's you typically starts with the APs because that's the one that gives you the most information. Switches are coming rapidly and catching up rapidly. But yeah, we play nice with everybody. Just can't
absolutely.
configure everybody.
Absolutely. That's fair. And we had another question come in about pricing. We will reach out directly. We will provide you with a sample price for a single quantity, as well as maybe gathering a little bit more information, making sure that we understand exactly what you're looking for, so that way you have a reasonable estimate. I believe for anybody else that wants to have pricing as well, please feel free to contact us. We will provide, as I said, a sample quote that will show what your estimated cost would be. And that way, obviously, everybody just taking into account that we are seeing price increases across our space. So we are being more cautious with how we provide pricing at this point, at this moment in time. But we will absolutely provide that shortly after this call. And we appreciate everybody for attending today. Keith, I appreciate this. It was great seeing you face to face because I
Yeah,
completely forgotten that project that we had worked on and meeting at some of the networking events in the past.
yeah,
I appreciate you speaking to our group today. This recording will be made available, I believe, within the next 7 days. And if there are any questions that come from this, Keith's information will be available. My information will be available. And again, both the DOF and the HPE team are here to help as best we can.
really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thanks to everybody who attended. We appreciate you joining us as well and hope to see you for the next one. Thank you.